Just in time. Greetings, everyone. I'm Luke Bryan Smith, and welcome to Enlightened, Empowered, Evolved, where we educate, motivate, and liberate you through enlightening dialogues, empowering music, and evolving content. I am excited again because my next extraordinary guest is an entrepreneur who walked away from a 23-year career to rebuild life on her own terms. She shares grounded insight on growth, identity, and self trust. Wow. While creating handmade products rooted in a true garden to skin process. And I'm sure it's a whole lot more. But without further ado, allow me to introduce to you Shatica Miles. How are you doing today?
I am doing wonderful. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Absolutely. And I'm excited. I'm always excited to align with people and just to engage in a dialogue that's centered around wellness, elevation, awareness, and the list goes on. So this excites me. Yeah, I'm so thankful that I'm able to do this and that we have this technology to do this and that people such as yourself uh, accept my invitation to come on. So I appreciate you being here today. Thank you very much for being here. Just present moment.
Thank you.
Yes, yes. So let's just get right into it, Shatika. So give us a little, if you don't mind, a little backdrop, a little insight on uh, you being an entrepreneur that walked away from a 23-year career. Give us a little insight on that. What was that?
Well, I'll tell you exactly what it was.
Okay,
At one point in my life, I lived paycheck to paycheck.
right.
I worked in a primary medical field, like in the office, a doctor's office in the hospital. Um, Long story short, I'm going to elaborate on what was because I've moved forward. But I worked in this hospital and I worked for these physicians and I played many roles. I was hired as a file clerk, but somehow I end up doing all the medical billing and coding. When people were taken off from work, I would fill in and draw blood, do x-rays. I'm doing all the things, but my paycheck never changed.
Mm, okay.
So when that happened, I'm like, I'm out of here. One day I just walked in and I said, I can't do this anymore. I've wasted 23 years. I mean, I gained experience, but I feel like time was wasted when I had so many other qualities and different values that I possess that I can offer others and empower them instead of me being in a situation where I'm not feeling good because I can't afford what I need to have
Right.
because I'm taking care of everything else. And mind you, these people were millionaires based off of the work that I did. So if I could do it for them, I could do it for me. So that's what happened. I just left. After 23 long years, I just decided, hey, I'm going to be on YouTube. I'm going to be here. I'm going to be here. And that's exactly what I've done.
Wow. Yes. And might I commend you on that because oftentimes, from my perspective, and I'm not saying every person because I don't know every person, but from my perspective, from my experience, it's hard to leave. It can be hard. It can be very difficult to leave that paycheck, even though it's barely getting by or whatnot, because that's like a safe zone. You know that it's predictable. You know you got it's just hard to change. But I think what I've come to realize is that you have to be uncomfortable if you really want to grow, and you have
Absolutely.
to change. Yeah, you do. It's scary,
Hmm.
and that's why there's a quote. It says, "Do what you're afraid to do." That means that boogeyman, so to speak, that you see off in the distance, go toward it, go through it, and
Absolutely.
on the other side of that, you will be growth and elevation, and yeah. So yeah,
Yeah, that's why I talk about identity a lot as well, because I came to identify with what was and I couldn't see what could be.
right.
So I talk about that a lot as well. Yeah.
Right. Yes, yes, yes. Growth, identity, self-trust. Give us a little insight on what you I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, but just Give us a little insight on some of those in your perspective.
Well, here's the thing that I've been thinking about lately. I have these conversations with my husband quite often in
Right.
reference to me being a gas station. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm a gas station. People come to me to fill up.
Mm,
Okay.
okay.
But once they fill up, they just sit there. They don't move. They don't execute. And I couldn't figure out for the longest time, like, what am I doing wrong? They come to me every day and like different social media platforms and they ask me questions, but I don't, they never say what progress they're making. So I don't want to assume the progress you're making. I really want feedback. So, and I always tell them, like, I had the longest time where I was stuck. And I think of me being in that 23-year career as me being stuck. And I'm like, so you're not alone in that process. I tell them I'm built on lived experience and change, and you can do the same. All all I want, and I say this wholeheartedly to your listeners, all I want is for people to realize that there's so much more out there, but you have to trust in yourself. You have to see that you're better than it. Like, even if you're not, you can be better than the next person as far as looking toward your future. And I say, don't live in the look back. Don't look in the rearview mirror. Keep moving forward because I think that's where a lot of people find themselves getting stuck is by worried about what happened or who, what, where, or a celebrity thing instead of like honing in on yourself, like listening to yourself. Like you got to dig deep. And
Yeah.
it wasn't easy to leave that job, but it was necessary. So people say, "Oh, how could you do it?" I did it for me, and I did it because I heard a calling right then and there, like, this ain't you anymore. You don't have to be this. Um, I want to tell you this because it goes to who I am. At 6 years old, my mother was diagnosed with a disease called systemic scleroderma. It's a sister to lupus. Okay. The disease like hardens your skin and it hardens your organs, and she went through a lot of skin changes.
Wow.
So that played a big factor in my life. So I've always been the caring person, the one that takes care of it. And I will sacrifice myself to make sure you're whole. I did this my entire life. I'm in my 40s, I'll be 50 soon. And now I realize that it may have been my season then, but it's not my season now. I still help people, but I help them in different ways.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that bit of vulnerability with your and letting us in a little bit in regards to your mother. But
Thank you.
I'm gonna try to recall um, some of these jewels, if you will, that you dropped because you dropped a few of them. And wow, you said, and I'm paraphrasing,
Hmm.
but one of the things is distraction. There's a lot of distraction out there that is specifically, in my perspective, designed to keep you from empowering yourself. And you mentioned that about distractions. Don't allow these. And we were talking prior to this about that. I won't get too deep in what we were saying, but we were talking about the distractions out there, the entertainment type distractions out there, and different reasons of why we don't engage in that, or we're filtering off those type of things, or maybe never have. But I share with you a few points as to why I'm withdrawing from certain things. But yes, that is important, and I've heard that from several individuals that I consider myself a student of. Okay, that talk about the distractions and the more things. Not saying that you can't, you know, uh, indulge in any type of extracurricular things. I understand that. Everybody teach his own, but when it becomes a distraction that you're worried about this celebrities thing, you're worried about this entertainment thing all the time. and it takes away from your own empowerment. That's when it can become a problem because you got to focus on yourself. It's not being selfish. That's self-care. And another thing that you mentioned that was very strong, very that was a jewel is wisdom and knowledge and books and information. Now I'm putting my own spin on it, but you'll see where I'm going with this. You can help people. You can give them the game, so to speak. You can give them the wisdom, but if they do not apply it, what good is it? There's a man by the name of Billy Carson I listened to online, and he talked about that. He said, yeah, it's wonderful. You read all these books, you do all that, but are you applying any of it, or are you still in the same mindset as you were before you read all those books? I mean, what are you applying and how is it elevating you? So
Right.
I get what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah. In regard to you uh, helping people or making people aware, you know. So
Right.
yeah, they gotta apply that. They gotta, and then you would like to see, okay, well, what I enlightened you with, okay, how is it helped you? How's it elevated you? Give me some
Right.
feedback. So I get it. Amazing. So, yeah, oh, is there something that you wanted to share?
No, I was just saying thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, no, I'm picking
Yes,
up on those
you
jewels.
get
It's
it.
just
You get
sometimes, sometimes
it.
sometimes, I get so wound up in the brain, and, I have to take a deep breath. Like I said, a part of this podcast, everything doesn't have to be perfect. It is perfect. I'll take a moment, and it'll be some silence for a minute while I recall, because yeah, those are important points I wanted to highlight that you made. You made more than that, but those two stuck out. The distractions and the application of wisdom. And it's good. What I call wisdom is something that, I mean, there's a lot of definitions of wisdom, but especially when someone has went through something and they're sharing their insight as to what they've gained from that. That's wisdom to me, you know. So that's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. So let's get into these handmade products that you have created, and give us some insight on that, how it came to be, what it is, and also how can we find them as well. So yeah,
Okay.
tell us something about
So
them.
I mentioned my mother, and I call it Garden of Skin.
Okay.
The storefront's Infinite Storefront, but it's Garden of Skin. This is one of my handmade bars of soap. It has
Okay.
different colors, which you probably can't see the light, but everything I grow out back here in my garden,
Oh
I put
wow.
into my soaps and
Wow.
into body bombs.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
And when I say I grow these things, I plant the seed. I tell
Mm,
people this little analogy all the time. It's just like your children. You plant the seed and you watch the roots take fold and you watch them grow. So everything that I plant in my garden, I love on it. I sing when I go out there. I do all the things.
wow.
And once they're done, my husband and I, we do our harvest. We dry out our different herbs and everything. Some we say for seasonings, but for the most part, everything goes into the body bombs, into the handmade soaps.
Mm,
So we started that more so because my mom had her skin thing, but she died when I was 19. So she never got to see all the things that we do as a
mm,
team. Um, but my sister and brother had eczema. Then when we had our children, they had eczema, and I couldn't understand. So besides those stuff that we put into our bodies
right.
that we shouldn't be putting into our bodies,
Absolutely.
um, people don't realize what they use on their skin on a day-to-day basis
Mm,
absorbs into their body.
mm,
So I was just telling my my Facebook people, if I can say, like, that I've considered them my family. I get on there and I have these live streams, and I was just telling them, I said, did you know that there's something called tallow? Tallow. And a lot of
tallow.
the bigger corporations use tallow because it's cheaper in their soap products, even like soap powder, different things of that nature.
Mm,
Now, I have a lot of friends that say they're just straight vegan, but they were using tallow because they didn't know that it was animal fat. They boil down the animal fat and they mask the smell with whatever their scents are, and then they mass produce it and sell it as all natural soaps when in actuality they're not. So I use pure things like olive oil and coconut oil and all those things, plus the herbs that I grow that I know when I'm putting in my soil because I compost it. Okay.
Wow.
So yeah, that's my thing. And if anyone's interested in learning more about natural soap, they can reach out on www.ifssoap.com.
www.ifssoap.com. Okay.
Correct. And this here, I want to point out too, is BTP. This is the body balm. BTP stands for better than petroleum.
Okay.
And you want to
Yes.
know why that's deep? Because I was using Vaseline for years. I
Hmm.
was not realizing that petroleum is what you use in your car, and people are putting it on their skin, and it's absorbing in your bloodstream, and then you're wondering why you're coming up with all these different things.
Tell them.
High blood pressure, diabetes, all the things.
Tell them.
It starts with the outside of your skin.
Facts.
So,
Facts. Wow. Yes, I never thought about that because, growing up, oh, put some of that Vaseline on you. Wait a minute. You mean put some of that gasoline on your
yeah,
skin?
right.
Go put some gasoline on you. Okay, I'm gonna go to the gas station and splash some gasoline on my skin. You wouldn't do that, would you? No. So that's good. Yeah. Yes, thank you. And I want to highlight a couple of points too. From the very beginning, I picked up on the fact that you go out giving good energy and singing, to your garden. And that is important. The vibration, just your intentions, your energy, the plants can pick that up,
Oh,
so
absolutely.
yes, they pick that up. So yeah. And there's cases where sometimes you can even actually see a plant move, and go towards that
Yeah.
vibration if you're speaking to them. So that's amazing because what you're pouring, not only physically the compost, but energetically into the plant is important too. And a lot of people don't understand that. A lot of
Very
these
good.
plants that we're eating are under duress and stress. They're, yeah. So to be able to cultivate it the way that
Yeah.
you do, that's amazing.
Thank you.
That adds another element of you know a holistic, um, just positive element to what you are doing.
Yeah. That's
So
what
that
I'd like to put out into the universe, positive energy. Every
right.
time someone sees me, they're like, why are you always smiling?
Right,
Why
right. That's
not?
important. That's
Why not?
important. That's important. I make that a habit. I catch myself sometimes. I'm especially when I'm in deep thought. Right, I'll have a just resting face that can look serious, but then I talk to myself inside my head. Smile. I make it a point to smile every so often. Like that's the energy I want to project, and that's the energy I want to receive, and I do that out in public as well. And sometimes and I'm just using this for context. Sometimes it's received, sometimes it isn't. But most of the time, it helps people. It does because it'll remind them, when they're doing their task. You see people walking around just, and then you smile, and then sometimes you can get somebody else to go smile
Hmm.
back, and they reminds them, takes them out of their trance of being so serious. So yeah, that's a part of my life that I've, yeah,
Yeah.
applied to it. So yeah, it's important. Sometimes we get too caught up in seriousness, and we need to remind ourselves. And I've heard this uh, a lot of times over the years, is that life's not happening to you, no matter how things may seem at the time, is happening for you. Now, I can't explain that, and people come to me and with different. Well, what about this? This person died. This person. Come on now. You can
I feel
use
like
your
everything happens for a
yeah,
reason.
everything. I can't
I
explain.
said my mother died at 19. I like
Right,
it was a big part of my life,
right,
but it didn't have to define me. And I think
right,
that's where people get stuck too.
right.
You don't
Yes,
have to be your situation.
right. Thank you. You don't have to be your situation. You can, yeah, you can rise above the situation.
You can learn from
Learn
that
from it.
situation.
And yes, and look, let me say this. When things happen, unfortunate things or things that we look at as unfortunate, you can sit there and soak it for all the sorrow and grief, and you know that there's healing periods and there's grief processes and all that. But at the end of that, get some knowledge from it. Learn something, help it, allow it to be fuel for you to elevate you in some way, not tear you down, not continue to focus on the actual loss of it, but what can you gain from that? What is it? There's something that'll give you something to really focus on, something positive to focus on. What is it that I can learn from this? And oftentimes you focus on it enough, you'll find, oh yes, you know, I've learned this about myself, you know, about yourself. You
It's
can
like
learn things about yourself from anything, no
that's
matter
back to the
how
self-trust.
right, no matter how tragic it may appear at the moment. I'm not trying to, uh, uh, um, you know, discredit or be insensitive to anything that anyone goes through because I already know I've been through a lot and I know how hard things can be. I'm not trying to say, oh, this happened, oh, but I'm just going to learn from it. I'm going to smile through it. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying
Right.
empower yourself. Empower yourself. At the end of the day, empower yourself. Seek solutions, seek answers, seek knowledge, seek wisdom, seek awareness, seek elevation through through
Amen.
it all. Yeah, so
Yes.
and that enhances my life. It propels me and prepares me to grow through things other than just go through things. So
All right.
amazing, amazing. So before we conclude, is there anything that I didn't highlight or any last words you want to leave us with or yeah, anything that you would like to say?
Um, well, let's see. Yes, of
Okay.
course.
All
Because
right.
I when I said that the gas station analogy, that I'm the gas station, like literally I am the gas station. People know me as a motivator.
Right.
But some people also know me as the lady that left her job
Mm,
after 23 years. But what I didn't get to say is that when I left my job initially, I started a non-medical home care agency.
oh,
And and with that came a lot of new business opportunities.
mm,
So there's a lot going on. And it's not that I'm bragging, but I want people to know that anything that you desire, you can have it.
right.
You just have to take and trust the process. You got to take that first step. So I'll leave you with that.
Wow. I won't add any more to that. It's self-explanatory, and I like the way you put that, and very empowering. Um, yes, and I received that myself with gratitude. Thank you very much.
You're
Yes,
welcome.
yes. Thank you very much for being here again, and thank you everyone for watching and or listening. Be sure to hit that like button, that subscribe button, share this. Not only help the platform grow, but help get this information out there. Yes, be sure to look at the description of this and see the links as well. Appreciate you. Till
Uh,
next time, love and appreciation. Sending everyone positive energy. Yes. See you soon. Enlightened, empowered, evolved.